And good morning. This morning, on this Monday morning, it is the 24th of January today, and our devotion this morning is entitled The Beginning of the Gospel. The Beginning of the Gospel, kind of part of the intro we had for Saturday. Also, Mark 1:1, Mark 8:29, Mark 15:39, and this lyric from a Michael Card song. The beginning of the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. The beginning of the good news of Christ, the Son of God. It was the question of all questions, a demand to comprehend the price and the answer of all answers. You are the Christ. Standing in the cross's shadow of the death-drenched deed that he had done, the response to the wordless question, surely this is God's own Son. The opening verse of the Gospel of Mark is also the table of contents. The entire Gospel is structured around two confessions. The confession of Peter in Caesarea Philippi in Mark 8:29 that Jesus is the Christ, and the confession of the centurion who crucified Jesus in Mark 15:39 that he is the Son of God. Hence, in Mark, the first words we hear are the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Mark's is not simply the first of the four Gospels to be written. It is the first Gospel ever to be written. And there are the perfect words to open these are the perfect words to open the first telling of the good news. In the course of the flow of Jesus' ministry, Peter's confession in Caesarea Philippi represents a major turning point. Jesus takes his disciples far to the north into pagan territory. Not far from where they are standing is the temple of the god Pan, which was built in front of an enormous cave that was thought to be the entrance to Hades. Next to that was the temple of the dancing goats. Here, priests would observe the movements of ritual goats in order to predict the future. Later, there would be a temple to Augustus constructed on the other side of the temple of Pan. In none of the Gospels is the reason for Jesus leading them there spelled out. Perhaps he knows that in the future they will be called upon to confess his name in the face of raw paganism, and Caesarea Philippi was the perfect place to start. Whatever the reason, after the confession of Peter, Jesus sets out on a direct route to Jerusalem and the cross. Luke says it this way in Luke 9:51. He resolutely set his face for Jerusalem. The second and final confession to give shape to the structure of the Gospel of Mark is spoken quite literally in the shadow of the cross. Peter remembers details that are found in none of the other Gospels. For example, he knows that Simon of Cyrene, the man who helped Jesus carry his cross, is the father of two men who are known to the readers, Alexander and Rufus. That's Mark 15:21, and then look over at Romans 16:13. Peter remembers the detail that two criminals are crucified on either side of Jesus. He remembers that the crowd was yelling insults at him and shaking their heads. And finally, Peter remembers that at the moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two. The centurion in charge of the detachment assigned the task of crucifying Jesus made a remarkable confession when he witnessed the way Jesus died. Typically, victims on the cross died with a hoarse whisper. We are told in all three synoptic gospels that Jesus gave up his spirit with a loud shout. The Roman soldier who had seen hundreds, perhaps even thousands of men die on the cross had never seen anyone die like this. He's clearly moved. Then comes his confession. Truly, this man was the Son of God. Those two confessions are signposts in Mark's gospel. They provide his unique confessional framework. And the answer of all answers comes from that song. You are the Christ. Mark wrote the Gospel of Mark as we know it, but most of his stories, most of what he accounts for came from Peter, and so it is really like the Gospel of Peter. The only possible answer to either of the questions, who do people say that I am, and who is the man who dies with a victorious shout? The only possible answer is Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. Oh, how we need to know him more. Oh, how we need to dive in and discover answers to questions like this that people around you, family members around you, co-workers around you, people in your church have. Who is this Christ? Who is this one who dies such a death? It's Jesus the Christ, the Son of God. Worship him. Worship him. Blessings.